All praise due to Allah and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My dear brothers and sisters, I always believe that we will have a better tomorrow. No matter what happens or how bad it seems today, life goes on, and it will be better tomorrow. My mindset is always, there is always room for improvement. إن غدا أفضل هو باب من أبواب حسن الظن بالله والتفاؤل والثقة بما عند الله وأن خيرة الله للعبد خير من خيرته لنفسه. Every day is an opportunity for a better tomorrow. And if we want to build a better tomorrow for all of us, for our family, for our community, for our country, for our nation, for the world, and most important for ourselves, these are some tips that I do believe will help us to build a better tomorrow. Number one, we need to learn how to be always optimistic and not to lose sight of optimism. Optimism is the most important human trait because it always allows us to evolve our ideas, to improve our situation, and to hope for a better tomorrow. إن التفاؤل هو خلق النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كما قال أنس كان يعجبه التفاؤل وإن التفاؤل ما هو إلا حسن الظن بالله وأن تعلم أن الخير كله بيد الله وأن تعلم أن الله ما يقضي قضاء إلا وهو خير للعبد. Optimism is all based on your belief in al-qadar and believing in the nature of Allah, that all goods comes from Him and all goods in His hand. And He will never decree anything upon the person unless it is better for him or her. إذا أردنا أن نبني غدا مشرق لابد أن نتعلم كيف نعيش مع الخلاف ونتعلم آليات وأدب التعامل معه. It is essential if we're looking for a better tomorrow to learn how to live with our differences and to be respectful of our differences and to know how to deal with it. The four Imams, just in our heritage as Muslims, we have the four Imams, the four madhahibs. And we have so many other opinions and madhahib as well. With all the differences that you will notice between them, and when it comes to their opinions, they maintain love, they maintain connections, they said to each other, they narrated from one another, they praised one another. العلماء إذا اختلفوا في مسائل الفروع فقد اتفقوا قطعا على وجوب محبة المؤمنين لبعضهم البعض. Even if they disagree in some of the branches of fiqh or some of the even fundamental issues in fiqh, they all agree that Muslims love one another and community members should care for one another. And boycotting someone or your Muslim brothers or your family or your neighbors is not something that it is allowed unless there is a very strict valid reasons for that. My brothers and sisters, we need to learn how to accept one another even if we don't agree with each other. Imam Ahmad rahimahullah سأل مرة بعض الطلبة من أين أقبلتم. He saw some of the students coming with their notes. So he said, where you came from? قالوا جئنا من عند أبي كريب وكان أبو كريب ينال من الإمام أحمد وينتقده في مسائل. فقال الإمام أحمد نعم الرجل الصالح خذوا عنه وتلقوا العلم. They said we came from a scholar, his name Abu Kurayb. And Abu Kurayb, he's a scholar who had a lot of disagreement with the Imam Ahmad. And sometimes he will use improper words of referring to Imam Ahmad, very harsh against the Imam Ahmad. So the student said, Imam Ahmad said, he's a good scholar, definitely a great scholar, learn from him. So the student said, Ya Imam, do you know that he says this and that about you? You're not his favorite person. He would never say the same thing about you. Then Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, what can I do? I know of that, but what can I do? He is a righteous man, a good man, but I am his test in life. I became his test in life. Allah tested his patience and testing his patience and manners through me. That's what it is. قال وأي شيء حيلتي رجل صالح ابتلي بي. Al-A'mash was one of the great scholars, used to narrate hadith from Zirr ibn Hubaysh وأبي وائل. And Zirr ibn Hubaysh كان علويا يميل إلى علي، يفضل علي على عثمان. وأبو وائل عثمانيا كان يفضل عثمان على علي رضي الله عنه. وكانوا أشد تحاب وتوادا في ذات الله ما تكلم أحدهم في الآخر قط. These two scholars, Zirr ibn Hubaysh and Abi Wa'il, they have a disagreement. At that time, people debated which one is better, Ali radiallahu anhu or Uthman, which is not a very important, not a very smart debate in my opinion, because there is no point of that. But anyway, one of them used to favor Ali over Uthman and the other one Uthman over Ali. But this opinion and that position never led them ever to hate one another or say bad words about one another or accuse the other person being Shi'i or being against Ahl al-Bayt or anything like that. To the extent that Al-A'mash said, Abu Wa'il and Zirr, they were together. Okay? And even though Abu Wa'il was older, he will not teach and he will not narrate the hadith while Zirr ibn Hubaysh is in his presence, out of respect for him. Rahimahumullah ta'ala. إن التزام المسلم بأدب الخلاف في نظر من ضروريات ضمان غدا مشرق وأفضل بالنسبة لنا. I do believe that maintaining the good manners of how we disagree with each other, how we talk with each other, as individuals, as family, as community member, as a society, it is so essential. It's just not words. It is more deeper than that. Because as we live and as tomorrow comes, there will be more disagreement. There will be more opinions. With this revolutions of, sharing informations, and people became the more knowledgeable people are, the more technology there is, the more abilities you have in your hand, the more arrogant also you become. And proud of your opinions, and you formulate your own situation. Even with family, we are living in a time, for the first time in history, in my opinion, first time in history, where children can know more than their parents. In history, usually that's not the case. When kids don't know more than the parents. Now kids know more than parents in certain areas, and you will be surprised. So with that formulated, we need to learn from early age how to respect one another, how to talk to each other, how to disagree with each other. And also we see our society, it polarized in a way that it's scary. Everybody pulling to one direction. And we see the disagreement became so harsh, so vicious between people. And if this is the case, we need to learn how to talk to each other, how to be respectful of each other's. Look at just the internet, how when people disagree, how they use the internet as a platform for just destroying people's reputation. And, using very low language. And everybody thinks his opinion is the ultimate truth, as if he's the only one knows the right thing. How the thing that we don't know of, we immediately call it off and we cancel it and we give it labels and we start attacking it. Just simply because I don't know anything about it. If you don't know anything about it, be quiet. Don't make a label. Don't make a statement. Don't pass a judgment. وللأسف الخلاف ليس مقصورا فقط على قضايا فقهية، بل إن الخلاف يشتد أكثر وأكثر في القضايا الدعوية والسياسية والفكرية اليوم. Unfortunately, people have more sense of tolerance toward each other when it comes to fiqh opinions. But they became so aggressive against each other when we disagree with each other over political views or over, management's perspectives or da'wah perspectives or, which organization is better presentations. Things like, it's not halal and haram. Unfortunately, we became very aggressive against each other and willing to, even give you name and labels and cancel you. And what's the funny thing is? People said, cancel culture, the canceling culture. The people who speak about canceling culture sometimes are the first one to cancel others. And we're just accusing each other with that. And you know what? That came also to the Muslim community as we part of the society. أظن أنه من المهم أن ندرك أن أفهام الناس ليست وحيا، والمدارس الفقهية والمدارس الحركية ليست الإسلام. We have to understand a very simple fact. Your opinion is not a fact. It's just an opinion. You have to understand a simple fact that the opinions that formulated by the one school of thought and fiqh or one da'wah group is not al-Islam. It's not equal to the word al-Islam. Al-Islam is much bigger than one madhab, much bigger than one movement, much bigger than one culture. Al-Islam is much bigger than that. That's why it's so important to always remember what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to one of his companions when he appointed him as a leader for an army. قال وإذا حصرت أهل حصن فأرادوك أن تجعل لهم ذمة الله وذمة رسوله فلا تجعل لهم ذمة الله ولا ذمة نبيه ولكن اجعل لهم ذمتك وذمة أصحابك فإنك إن تخفروا ذممكم وذمم أصحابكم أهون من أن تخفروا ذمة الله ورسوله. In other words, what the Prophet ﷺ telling this leader, if you're in a fight and the enemy want to make a deal with you, a treaty, don't call that treaty and don't give that treaty the stamp of that's what Allah and His messengers want, or that's what Allah and His messengers approve. Say that's what I and my fellow soldiers approve. That's our opinion about this. That's how we think that can be fair. Why? Because if you're wrong, it is your opinion is wrong. But if you say that's what Al-Quran and Islam is, that means Islam is wrong. That means Allah is wrong. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam teaching us in a critical moment like this in a war is to make sure that we don't put that label if it is this is the wahi, this is the Islam, this is the only, the sunnah. Unless you have an explicit clear evidence or ijma' on this issue. ولذلك يقول ابن القيم رحمه الله لا يجوز أن يقول لما أداه إليه اجتهاد ولم يظفر فيه بنص إن الله حرم هذا أو أوجب هذا أو حكم هذا. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah in I'lam al-Muwaqqi'in said, for the mufti cannot say Allah forbade such thing, Allah obligated such thing, Allah's ruling is this and this, unless you have a clear evidence from the Quran and Sunnah. Not your own ijtihad, not your own opinion. That is, even if you're obviously your opinion based on evidence, but still an opinion in understanding that evidence. That's why Imam Malik rahimahullah, when al-Mansur told him, let's force people to follow al-Muwatta, he said, no, don't force people to follow al-Muwatta, my book al-Muwatta. There is so many books and so many other opinions. Let it be, the Sahaba have different opinions, and it was better for us to have these different opinions. قال لا تحمل الناس على كتابي فإن أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم اختلفوا ولا أرى أن يجمعون على رأي كما أن الصحابة لم يجمعوا على رأي. I think for a better tomorrow, we need to learn how to build allies and how to have allies and to build alliance. It is so important to build alliance with our Muslim organization, Muslim brothers and sisters, and also alliance with the bigger circle, the society at large. You can't survive in society by yourself. You need that friend. You need those friends. You need other people to be with you. And we've seen how, for example, the issue of Palestine, when you have seen young men and women in universities all over the country have stood up and demonstrate courage that sometimes you are surprised. To what level they demonstrate that level of courage? Can't get out of my head that video of the soldier who light himself up, even though I believe it's haram what he did Islamically to kill yourself, but that's required a lot of courage, and he was standing on his feet until the last moment, did not scream, because he believed in that cause. In Columbia University, in top universities in the country, the students in the last semester got fired and they were willing to take that hit. because they believe in their cause. Those people are not Muslims. Those people were not part of our community. Our community needs friends, needs people who believe in their causes as well. We have a just cause, a universal causes. And that's required from us to think, how can I build that kind of, establish this partnership and working together. This kind of pact, alliance, understanding. And there is a lot to be said about this area, because this area has to have a lot of guidelines for it. And hopefully one day I will give a special talk about this. How can we build an alliance that maintain our principles, but in the same time inviting people to work with us in our causes? Hilf al-Fudul, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was part. He said, if I was invited to this treaty of Mecca, they agreed to always give victory and to help the poor and the weak among them in Mecca, so will not be abused. That's what Hilf al-Fudul was about. He said, I will be part of it. If today happen again, I will be part of it. الوثيقة التي جعلها النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مع يهود المدينة, the treaty that the Prophet ﷺ have done with the Jews of Medina. قال وإن على اليهود نفقتهم وعلى المسلمين نفقتهم وإن بينهم النصر على من حارب أهل هذه الصحيفة وإن بينهم النصح والنصيحة والبر دون الإثم. In this treaty that they will protect one another. They will fight with one another. They will fight together, whoever want to fight them or want harm to Medina. They will give advice to one another. They will help one another in what is good and not what is an evil. In any case, I'm going to skip the idea of what's the guidelines related to, because I think it's essential. Hopefully I'll get a chance to do a full talk about it one day. But I want to say that this alliance, it's so important to be based on knowledge, not based on emotions. Also based on principles, not based on parties. I'm just by default blue or red or whatever color you pick. No, this alliance also, we should be very careful in how we label people, how we generalize. Like it is so dangerous, because that's what destroyed many of these alliances to be built. And I will say it loud and clear. Not because also, because of this issue, these are issues of ijtihad and opinions. Like what I said, it's not a fact. It's just an opinion. Not everybody will vote for Trump. It means he hates immigrants or hates Islam. And not everybody vote for Biden tomorrow. It means that he doesn't care about Palestine. That's not correct. And to judge someone like that, that's not acceptable. That's your position. That's your view. That's a political view and stance. But you can't attack your Muslim brother just because they have a different positions. Not every, Republican is a racist. And not every Democratic Party member is a gay or a homosexual pro. Not necessarily to boot the case. It's much bigger than that. That's a very تصطيح. مثل هذه القضايا في غاية الخطورة. Simplified it and dumbing these issues to that level. It is very have a very negative impact for tomorrow for our community. If we're looking for a better tomorrow, we need to learn how to lead or to be led or to get out of the way. And I said this again, you're ready to lead or ready to be led or to get out of the way. But not to lead, not to be led, and to be just standing in the way, criticizing and making comments and paralyzing the community to go forward. That's not going to be a better tomorrow. If you need a better tomorrow, invest in making your friends today before you need them. If you need a better tomorrow, you have to have clarity in your goals and to be motivated by these goals and to have a clarity in what you want to establish and what you want to accomplish. We should be led by our goals, not by our problems. If we want a better tomorrow, we need to deal with today and the troubles of today with confidence, with optimism, with smile, sadness, ما جاء في القرآن الحزن إلا مذموم. Sadness never was praised in the Quran. Never. Sadness is not always criticized in the Quran. Being sad and depressed is not gonna, and crying and just, all about sadness, that's not gonna move us to a better tomorrow. Even in the most painful time, you put the smile in your face. What can be more hard than losing your loved one, your brother, for example, or your father, or your mother? In Islam, in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, لا يحل, is not allowed to cry over 3 days. Over 3 days. Maximum you have 3 days to cry over someone died. Then after that you have to move on. World cannot stop. I'm in pain. I'm confident I will feel better tomorrow. If we want a better tomorrow, we need to come closer to Allah. We need to be with Allah. We need to be not against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're seeking the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah will not bless an ummah, an individual, a family, a community, a person who turning his way to Allah, back to Allah. A person who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the least of his priorities. A person who will jump from his bed for worldly matters. Who will cares about, Shaykh Waleed, hurry up because France and Netherlands playing and we want to catch the second half. That's more important to me than my salah. No, will not be for people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the least of their priorities. And His laws and commands is the most, the least of their honor, the least thing that they honor and they respect. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ينفعنا بما سمعنا أقول ما سمعت وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده بعد. My brothers and sisters, if we're looking for a better tomorrow, we need to learn how to have big goals, big ideas, to think big, to think bigger than ourselves. If we need a better tomorrow, we need to invest in the youth. If our youth, all what they care about, all their education comes from Netflix and movies and all what they never read a book. If our youth don't know how to read the Quran, don't understand their deen, don't understand principle, our youth don't have a big goals. They don't feel that there is a bigger world than their own desires. We need that to change if we're looking for a better tomorrow. A better tomorrow means to change your attitude towards life. This life is not about me, it's about we. It's not about what you accomplish, but what you contribute. It's not about results as much as about relationships. It's not about the money you make. It's about the difference you make. It's not about you impressing or the impression that you leave. Rather, it's the impact that you will leave behind you. It's not only about your career. It's about your community. It's about your country. It's about your deen. It's about your ummah. It's about your family. It's not always about what you learn. It's also about what you teach. It's not always about how I improve, but it's about how we can improve. How can we all grow together? When you change your attitude from being a person who have very low interest and you think so low of yourself, to change your attitude to think of yourself someone who can make a difference, somebody of value. And that will come when you have valuable thing to live for and to aim for, through your business, through your daily activity, everybody in his and her field. The future starts today, not tomorrow. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us success. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our tomorrow better than our day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from us all our good deeds. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the courage and the patience, the sabr to make positive change in our life and the life of those who are around us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our sins and the sins of those who are loved one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for our brothers and sisters in Gaza and around the world. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا، اللهم بارك في والدينا، اللهم بارك لهم واغفر لهم وارحمهم أحياء وأمواتا. اللهم إنا نسألك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام أن تغفر لأزواجنا وأولادنا، وأن تصلح ذرياتنا، وأن تقينا وإياهم شر الفتن، وأن تقي جاليتنا شر الفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن، وأن تنزل رحمتك وبركتك على أهل هذا المسجد يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وعملا صالحا وقلبا خاشعا ولسانا ذاكرا. اللهم اغفر لنا تقصيرنا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك فرجا ونصرا عاجلا لإخواننا المستضعفين في فلسطين. اللهم عجل بفرجهم، اللهم عجل بفرجهم، اللهم اجعل دائرة السوء على من ظلمهم وخذلهم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم إنا نسألك يا حي يا قيوم أن تفرج عن إخواننا المستضعفين في كل مكان، في سوريا وفي غيرها من البلاد يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم ادرأ نار الحرب والفتنة عن إخواننا في بلاد المسلمين، واجمع على الخير كلمتهم. ادرأ نار الحرب والفتنة بينهم في السودان وفي ليبيا وفي غيرها من البلاد. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تحرر كشمير من قبضة هؤلاء الغاصبين المعتدين يا حي يا قيوم. اللهم الطف بإخواننا في الهند، اللهم اخطب بإخواننا في الصين. اللهم أن هؤلاء عبيدك بنو عبيدك هم وإخواننا من الروهينجا، اللهم الطف بهم فإنهم لا ناصر لهم إلا قليل. اللهم فاغفر لهم وارحمهم وعافهم واعف عنهم وانصرهم يا حي يا قيوم. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه، وقوموا للصلاة يرحمني ويرحمكم الله.